Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jefferies, the present day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. When my mum turned 50, I hand wrote her a congratulations card. And the congratulations card was about, yeah, Mum, congratulations, you're now a crone. Exciting times ahead. I wrote all this kind of stuff. And my mum was devastated. Like, not just devastated, she felt insulted. And I'm going like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Because for me, I saw the crone as being the wise woman. She was now that 50, heading into the next 50 years of her life, second half of her life, crondom, kind of crone time, which is the wise woman. And all she saw was the old hag, the kind of old witchy crone. And I'm going, no, Mum. And it actually really distressed me at the time. So I was 30, something like that. Mum's about 20 years older than me. And it was like, I don't get it, Mum. I didn't get it. Anyway, time went on and I just dealt with that. And when I hit 50, I started thinking, yeah, I'm a crone. My period had disappeared. I was postmenopausal and I'm like, yeah. And I started researching or even, just searching crone. And all I could find was photos of haggard, witchy looking old women. And I'm thinking, that's not my experience. Because for the last 20 years, I've been traveling really extensively in countries right the way through Asia, non-white Western kind of countries. And in those cultures, the woman, the crone, the wise woman, the woman who's, 50 plus is absolutely revered. And she like almost on a pedestal kind of thing. And no, it's not about wanting to be put on a pedestal, but her wisdom is acknowledged. She's the matriarch of the village. I think of Matau. Matau is the matriarch of the village where I run the charity in Thailand. And she is this wiry old bugger. She's 4 foot nothing tall. And the respect she gets is amazing. People hang on to every word. She's in her 80s now. And she's just a seriously cool woman, full of life, still gets out there and walks around with a stick and harvests betel nut, and she's tough as nuts. Super cool. And I see it in like the young teenage boys. They listen to her. They pay her respect. We don't see that in the Western world. In the Western world, it really is. It's like that, you silly old crony, or, it's the old witchy, haggardy kind of thing. And mind you, we don't respect our elders in general in our culture, which I think is just incredibly sad. They've lived so much time and they've got so much to share with us. So I wanted to talk about this today, and I'm really passionate about it because it's not my experience to be considered the old crony. And I'm about to turn 60 in a few weeks, and I am more alive and vital and excited about life than I ever was in my 20s and 30s. It's insane how cool I feel. Aging is just getting better and better and better, and yet we don't do anything with it. And I consciously created the present day wise woman, which is part of my branding, because I want us to redefine the crone. So let's get into it. What is the crone? So the word crone actually comes from, it's like the old word for crown, and it meant, wisdom from the person who wears that crown. They were crowned because they were seen to be, the wise one. And traditionally, the age that someone becomes a crone, a woman becomes a crone, because it is a woman thing, is generally around age 50. So it's when they're typically entering menopause, we're considered to be more wise. In the archetypal kind of language, the maiden, the mother, and the crone are like they personify what feminine is. And feminine isn't girly. Feminine is that feminine energy. The crone stage of life, this is meant to be our time of giving back, where our accumulation of all the wisdom of all of our years, like even me, 60 years, I've done a lot of stuff in my lifetime. It's about us being able to hold that wisdom, be the wisdom keeper. And traditionally, we were the healers, and not healers necessarily healers like I'm a naturopath nowadays, but everything we knew was passed down to our daughters and to our granddaughters at this age. And that's the way it was. And ultimately, it's that crone energy that leads to, the big changes being made in society, the wisdom of the elder woman who's can bring that through and make societal kind of changes. It's so cool. It's an amazing time of our lives. And yet the Western woman doesn't own this time of our life. It's terrible. And I know it's in me. Since I've been in my 50s, energetically, it's like I just want to pass on everything that's in my head. I want to be able to teach and show people in a totally different vibe. Like before I was 50, I was teaching and running courses and things to build a business. All I want to do now is it's like that, leaving that legacy. I want to be able to share my life and experience that I've got for the things that I've created in my life so that that knowledge doesn't get lost. And that's very much the way it was traditionally. But during the Middle Ages, the church feared these wise women because they were so revered. And so many, the numbers are scary. So many amazing women were lost during the Inquisition when the wise woman the church felt threatened. And so they knocked that wise woman down to say she was that wicked witch and the old hag and the archetype that came through in fairy tales and stuff. And it's not cool. So we lost so many amazing women that through those times burned at the stake and all that kind of stuff. And they were just wise women. It's crazy. And I want us to reclaim that. I'm really talking to the women out here listening to this at the moment. It's time for us to step into it because it's only us that can claim it back. Just waiting for society to go, yeah, you're another wise woman. It's not going to happen. Culturally, it's been in the Eastern philosophies and the traditional kind of philosophies and cultures, but it's not been in our white Western kind of cultures. And it's just not cool. I just think it's just not cool. So we have these biological kind of times in our life. So, you've got infancy and then you've got puberty, that's teenage years, sexual maturation, which is, your reproductive kind of years. And then there's what's called the climacteric period. And this is where our fertility declines. And they say our sexual activity declines. Well, I call bullshit on that. There is absolutely no need for that to happen. Just saying. I work with so many women in menopause and sexual appetite doesn't have to diminish at all. Fertility, sure, you're not going to make a baby. All good. But the rest of it, no way. And then there's the post-climacteric years, which are our elderly years. And it's interesting that so much of our lives, our lives, our physical bodies, we have a different state of health. I have such a different state of health and lifestyle at 60 to what my mother had at 60. My mum's now 82. I have such a different life. And it's like everything moved 20 years. I'm 60, but I feel like I'm still in my 20s, but really probably it's hanging around 40 somewhere. We're aging energetically so much slower now. So we're even more full of life to want to share that and pass on our wisdom. Interesting, right now in history, it's us baby boomer women who are in our wise years. We are. And we did the bra burning and we did all the women's liberation movement of the 1960s and 1970s. And we laid the foundation for women's rights that young women have today. Now, baby boomer women, we were the first generation that wanted and gained a family and a career. Prior to the baby boomer women, it was one or the other. If you were in a job, you got pregnant, married, you were out. We were the first generation that changed all that. And we followed on from, I have so much respect for the courage of the suffragettes, those women in the early 1900s who literally fought and went to jail for our rights. Each generation builds on the generation before it. And I love that we keep doing that. And at some stage, I like to think that we're going to come back culturally and really revere the wisdom that the women and the men, but the wisdom of our older generation, because it's just not being acknowledged. It's not, and it's being lost. I believe it's time for us to reclaim the crone. And that's only going to happen by us women stepping into that vibe. Absolutely. Two of the most basic human needs evolve into a modern crone, and that's connection and community. And they're like our superpowers at this age. Our community needs us. And it's not about just volunteering at the local, food program, or volunteering at Meals on Wheels, or volunteering at something. It's not that. It's about passing down our knowledge and embracing our legacy. We've got it to pass on. Let's do it. Now, the pandemic of 2020 showed us even more than ever the need for community to come together. It really was. And it's the wisdom of our crones, our 50-plus-year-old women, that have got the maturity and that wisdom to be able to hold space for a community to rebuild. It got fractured to bits in 2020, and everything was done to try and isolate us and break us apart. Now, a lot came together, but I think there's a whole nother depth and level for it. When it comes to retiring, it's not about just filling up your time with, going for a lunch and going for a morning tea and stuff. Absolutely. That's all cool to do in our retired life. But ultimately, we get called at this time in our life to follow our new purpose. And I meet so many women in my day-to-day life nowadays, my kind of age, who are, they're a bit lost. They've had their successful careers and they've had their kids and the kids have left home and all that's happened. And now they're like, what's next? The what's next is it's time to step into what you're being called. And the being called is to pass on our wisdom. How that shows up for you, I'm not certain, but it's time to at least let it sit, let it marinate, reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about how you see you can help pass on your wisdom, because our communities need it. They really do. I know I've been called. Have you? I took on being the present day wise woman to continue the work of the wise crone. Like I say, it derailed me a bit when I hit 50 and I thought, what? It can't be. And it's only through the last few years I've really consciously thought, no, it is time to reclaim this. It's time for us to stand up and start exploring what it is for us to be our crone. That's it. These are the most exciting, oh my God, the most exciting years of our life. I feel it. I am the energy for life that's oozing out of me the closer I get to 60 is insane. And that's the way it's meant to be. We're not meant to be the frail little old ladies, and especially our baby boomer generation. We have it. We have that vibe in it. Let's put it to use. We have so much to give, and the world absolutely needs our wisdom at this time. It is time to reclaim the word crone and all that it embodies for our planet. Then, I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review on Apple Podcast to have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. And if you would like to receive a free copy of my Feed Your Body ebook, simply click the link in the comments below. Join my newsletter and we will get that free ebook sent to you. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.